In today's Leeds news, Radrizzani Inter Milan takeover blow, Leeds United involved in £1 billion scam, Diego Llorente injured, Summerville targeted, and Willie Gnonto summer move likely. Hey folks, Jer here on the 25th of April. Game day, Leeds versus Leicester City in what will be possibly the defining game of the season. A defeat for Leeds could see them all but down, depending on lots of other results, obviously. But a continuation of poor form. This is a must-win game for Leeds. And I'd like to know what everyone thinks about the scoreline. Let me know in the comments. Are we positive, are we negative? For me, it could go either way. This could be a big win for Leeds or a big defeat. So I'm sitting on the fence and I'm going for a 2-2 draw because I think we'll score and I think we'll concede. So Leicester luckily they've got a pretty strong squad for today. Vardy, Maddison are all back and available for the game. So that's that. We're going to move on and we're going to crack into this. And we'll start off with the Radrizzani Inter Milan takeover blow. And according to FC Inter News, Radrizzani's attempted buyout with a consortium of other investors of Inter Milan may have hit a major blow. Not only is Leeds' relegation from the Premier League likely to impact the buyout as he needs the additional revenue from the sale of Leeds in the Premier League, and Leeds' relegation would see the value of Leeds reduced by up to £270 million. Apparently, there is a group of Bahraini investors, according to FC Inter News, who are increasing their efforts to try and buy Inter Milan. What they've said is that a group of Bahraini investors called Investacorp are getting more intense in their interest to buy Inter Milan. Radrizzani potentially losing money in the relegation of Leeds will not help his cause to try and get his takeover of Inter Milan and get back to Italy. And he would have to compete with a pretty wealthy group of Bahraini investors. So not all clear cut and dry for Rads on that front just yet. So move on and we'll talk about news that BBC revealed last week that Leeds were one club involved in an international crime group, which is hard to say out loud. According to the BBC, the Whites are said to have, or were said to have signed up to a partnership with FXVC, with one fan being ripped off of up to £300,000. It's a crypto business that Leeds got involved with these guys, but Leeds did end their partnership with the so-called company after finding out that news that had come out. It's just not a great look, is it? MOT Leeds have a bit more detail on the post today, and Dr. Plumley, who is the financial expert, has been giving his opinion on it and just said it's not a good look for Leeds to get dragged into something that is a £1 billion scam as easily as they appear to be without due diligence being done properly. I don't think anybody's surprised at that. Leeds did end their partnership with this group when they found out that there was a scam element to it and that Leeds fans had been scammed. The investment basically was to partner with Leeds to get fans to then invest through Leeds or with Leeds as their partner into this fund. Apparently, one fan taken for nearly 300,000. The crypto stuff tends to be dodgy at the best of times anyway. So Leeds heavily involved with Socios as well, who are a crypto company as well. So not a good look, as he said himself, David Plumley, but there you go. Moving on, let's talk about injuries. And Diego Llorente suffered what appears to be a pretty serious injury last night in AS Roma's game against Atalanta. According to Calcio Mercato, he could be seen crying coming off the pitch. The defender looks to have pulled what appears to be a thigh flexor injury, which are pretty painful, at the best of times. I wonder where his tears related to the injury are, the fact that he may have to return to Leeds now. I shouldn't laugh at that. I shouldn't. I apologize. He's been unlucky. Llorente, he's gone over. He's been injured. He's been fit. He's had a couple of good games. Then he's got injured again. Then he had to come back in a couple of good games again. He's been injured again. It's pretty similar to his time at Leeds. He is a little bit injury prone at the best of times. So, but it might scupper his move to Roma on a permanent basis. Although again, if Leeds go down, then Right, moving on. Let's talk about Summerville. And according to Ekram Kanur over on Twitter, he is saying that Summerville is the target of several European and UK clubs heading into the summer. Brighton, Palace, Newcastle, Dortmund are amongst the clubs said to be interested in signing Summerville in the summer should Leeds go down. Huge amount of stuff resting on this. The young players are the bunch that Leeds will want to hang on to should they go into the Championship. Summerville being one of them. But again, you've got a lot of players who are knocking on the door of international football and have made an impression in the Premier League. They're not likely to stay if Leeds go down, and it's unfortunate to have to say that out loud, but there you go. Speaking of players that could also leave, according to Football Insider, so big bag of salt territory here, they are saying that Willie Nyonto will leave Leeds in the summer. What they have said is sources within Leeds have told Football Insider Leeds may have no choice but to sell the player into the summer. Gnonto has 10 caps for Italy and is being coveted by a lot of clubs in Italy. Radrizzani commenting last month on the fact that so many good young Italian players were actually outside of the Italian league and should be brought back into the league. So there's a possibility of looking at that. So it's basically what they're saying is Serie A as the most likely destination for the player, with AC Milan, Juventus, the top clubs interested in the player. There will be interest in the UK as well. Obviously, he's made a very big impact at a young age in the Premier League and has shown he can cut it here. Remains to be seen what will happen with Leeds and him towards the end of the season, not playing currently. Leeds will look to try and recoup £40 million for the player if they can. Leeds obviously bought him for £5 million, upwards to 10 depending on clauses, but Leeds may look to try and sell him for £40 million should they be in a situation where they have to sell the player. That's pretty much it from the news perspective. Going into the game tonight, just a pretty quick preview. Leicester seem to have Vardy and Maddison available. We know what he's like against Leeds. Harvey Barnes, another player who likes to play against Leeds, is also said to be available for the game tonight, although he will have a fitness test today. Leeds going into the game with some potential injuries. Javi Garcia, not saying who, but when asked about Cooper and Vauber's involvement today, he said that there are some players who won't be involved because then they picked up knocks and aren't quite ready. So that would be a concern for Leeds. The backline. Outside of that, he hasn't said if anybody is or isn't injured. There will be some significant changes needed for the team tonight, in order to try and shore up the backline and also try and get the best from our attacking players. But for me, tonight is a game Leeds need to go for. And it doesn't matter if we can see goals. We can see goals and we defend anyway. We should try and just go and outscore them like we used to do under Bielsa and some of the games with Jesse Marsch as well. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a big game and a big ask of the players to dust off what has been a miserable month for Leeds and to try and get a positive result. We said that April was going to be the month to find the season. The Leicester game looks like this could be the one. You get 3 points against Leicester tonight, and you can beat Bournemouth away next weekend. All of a sudden, it could look a lot healthier. Teams down the bottom are not giving up either, so there's a lot of to still fight for. And fingers crossed they have it in them. Let's hope for that, and we'll see how we get on. So anyway, let me know your score predictions down below, and I will be back tomorrow morning for some form of a review of the game, I suppose, and whatever news is floating around. Fingers crossed there's some good news for tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Enjoy the match. I'll see you then.